Assalamu alaikum, beloved family. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, indeed. Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah, Sheikh and family. So, okay, Sheikh Idris. I didn't know our beloved Sheikh was there. I was gonna open up and get it
Oh, by
going.
all means, do your thing.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So we'll open up for Dania style, starting with the prayer of Ibrahim, what we call in the NOI the morning prayer. Surely I turn myself to thee, O Allah, being upright, to him who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am no longer of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he, and of this I am commanded, I am indeed of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant. I've been greatly unjust to myself, and I do confess my faults. So please grant me protection against my faults, for none can grant protection against my faults but thou. And guide me to the best of morals, for none can guide me to the best of morals but thou. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals but thou. O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make we, the true followers of Muhammad, successful, as thou didst make Abraham successful and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless we, the true followers of Muhammad, as thou didst bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified in our midst. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Malana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi takabal mini liwati karimi kalita iban ilayka bi astaghfirullah bihi astaghfirullah lazima wa atubu alayhi means wa hadin wa min guyub astaghfirullah lazima wa atubu alayhi means wa hadin wa min guyub saltuhu bahaki wa talahi makfiratan min jumlatil manahi tubtulahu min jumlatil sagairi mahim Astaghfirullah. Mahal kabairi wa min damairi gafiru li fi kulli ma takarama wa ma takara wa ma bainahuma wa imni ali mawazid iyama wa hamalan wa abadan wa fama rabbi al-ikshif kulli ma nafiha wa chaliyati min shaka imaniha ikshif li al-asa'ara wa galamira akiraman kashafa saran gamira lejma jamiha ma tafarakalada kalti mana kiri wa safil kalada lakul lada tafakur lazamaya Rabbi bikum wa tasiman kalamiya, abliya kuramu fitilawa, kairan kasiran makawa halawa, barikliya lahuma fiyati, wachafu adiwa tanawayati, abliya kani bishra kuliman yatu, waliza wa ahira bin mahalguyu. Now we'll do the four short surahs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Kuhu Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Surah Al-Falaq. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, min sharri ma khalaq, wa min sharri ghasiqin idha waqab, wa min sharri nafathati fil 'uqad, wa min sharri hasadin idha hasad. Surah Nas. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas, min sharril wasil kanas, ilazi. You was astaghfirullah alazi. You was Sufi Sadurin Nas min al Janati wa Nas. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma ya Quramu salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad Fatihi Lumuklika wa Katimi Lanasabaka Nasiru Hakiba Hakiba Hadi La Suratika Mustaqim wa ala alihi kakarihi wa migzari al azim. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh and family.
Wa alaikum salam,
So
Brother Sheikh.
in Fardania style, you know, by Allah's grace, me and Cheikh Idris have began the reputation of the dynamic duo. By Allah's grace, he opens up for me, and he has given me the privilege to open up for him in this last of a very, very powerful class of the divine through the 1 through 9. It's amazing how the subconscious mind works, family, because immediately when I thought about tripping up in the prayers, it happened that fast. So we know for a fact that thought travels at 24 billion miles per second. So astaghfirullah bihi on my mishaps during the prayers. Alhamdulillah. So in this, as we summarize this whole very, very powerful course, I would just say a few words before we bring our beloved Sheikh up. We started off, by Allah's grace, I did the opening in the very first class, and I made the statement of our Cheikh Idris Ba, the mountain builder, that he is the embodiment of the phrase, Islam is mathematics, and mathematics is Islam. And as we have been on tour together, as you have seen him do classes in various circles that we have had presentations and so forth, you see that he teaches this subject without effort. It is definitely, he has personified this aspect of the teaching. And it's just a wonderful thing to see Islam come into the numeric form and for us to have a practical use of what Master Muhammad called mathematical theology. Our beloved Sheikh Idris proves that in no limit of time. So thank you for allowing me to open. And without further ado, with great honor, I present our beloved Sheikh Idris Ba. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. First of all, give thanks to Sheikh Farad for his kind words, talking about this brother Sheikh Idris, which we're all looking forward to acquainting ourselves with one of these days and living up to all of those things that are stated. We give thanks, of course, for our Sheikh Sufi Ba, for the opportunity to share information and insight that we have received as a result of being in this Darrah, and the information that has come from this Darrah that highlights and that puts more depth on some of the information that we had learned previously. So we're always honored and humbled to come before this body of light, because each one of you are tremendous balls of fire and light and wisdom. And I'm grateful to be in the assembly of each and every one of you. So this is the final week of our Living Divine between the 1 and the 9 journey. And it's been a wonderful journey, and I'm sure this class is really gonna sum it up and put the icing on the cake, and that has already been done by Sheikh Farad with that magnificent opening. I was about to say, like Russell Simmons, thanks for coming out, God bless, good night. that was gonna be the class. But since we're all here, and there seems to be a good number of people here ready to delve into this number knowledge again, I just want to open up before we get started to see if there's any questions regarding last week. I know I got one talking about some of the things that we went over last week because it was not recorded, and wanted to do a recap. But is there, and we will of course do that recap, is there any other questions, ideas, or concerns before we jump into this week's dispensation of Living Divine? No questions, no comments, cool. So we're going to do the recap right quick and then jump into what we're going to go over tonight. So this class of Living Divine Between the 1 and the 9, of course, we went through the disclaimer, the definitions and the history, the number systems. Then we went through the science of each number from 1 through 9. We went through the master numbers. We went through the double numbers, the 10 through 99. We only got up to, I think it was like 40 something. But we went through the meaning of the double numbers, including the master numbers. Then we found our core numbers. And while I'm on that subject, is there anyone who is here tonight who did not find their core number?
I haven't found my core number. So first of all, Islam, peace to my family. First, I rise with all praise to Allah in the highest of honors, to his divine prophets, stemming from Muhammad back to Muhammad, inshallah. First, and then high honors to the speakers, teachers for the night. I hear this has been a very successful class. I'm glad that I'm finally being able to tap in. I know that my number, my spiritual number, life path number is number 7. Outside of that, I don't know much else.
Okay. You know, I always got a smile when I hear Brother Akil's voice, man. He don't know this, but when I first started listening to the YouTubes, Brother Akil was always on the call, man, always bringing light and always speaking wisdom. And I remember that from years ago, a couple years ago when I first started. And I would see the brother, I was like, yeah, that brother, he's on one. He is really, really on one. So it's always good to hear his voice and to hear his insight. And I'm glad you made it to the class. Now you're talking about your life path number. Let's go down to that right now while we're on that subject. So we have, wait a minute, one here. We got a graph here and a way that we find our life path number. And since you know your life path number, you probably know this process. So you take the month that you're born, you can write this out on paper, and you write the number for the month. The way that I do it is, if the month is a double-digit number, if it's a master number, I do not reduce the month number. So I leave it at that number. Then I go to the day number, whatever day that you're born on, day of the month, and we look at that number. If that number comes out to be a master number, I don't reduce it. I leave it as it is. If it's a double number that's not a master number, then I reduce it. And then, of course, your year, same process. If the year comes out to a master number, I leave it as it is. Then at the end, I add those numbers together, and that's how we get the life path number. So you said that yours was a 7, Brother Akira, right?
Peace, Islam, yes.
Okay, so obviously that represents, 7s deal with a very, very spiritual path. It also deals with a lot of inward work that takes place. We talked about this, we went over the 7 as well as we went over the master numbers as well, because the question was brought up about 7 having some of the same intensity of a master number. So with 7 speaks more to the inward dweller, doing the inward work. 7 is also symbolic of the moon. There's 2 numbers that are connected with the moon. The full moon, which is the full light of the moon, that number is the number 2. And then the new moon, or the dark moon as they call it, which we're in the energy of right now. Funny how this all comes up. That is related to the number 7. So it relates to the dark moon because it's that part of the month or that time or that season or that cycle when the work that's being done is being done in the dark or on the dark, in those dark spaces of ourselves, so that when we emerge in the light, we emerge with a new understanding, a deeper understanding of who we are and what we bring forth. That's the life journey of a person who has a number 7 life path. That's what you're going to be doing and experiencing throughout your whole life. Walking the spiritual path, getting involved with the mystical, the occult, the metaphysical, working on yourself, digging deeper into yourself and bringing up those treasures, shining light, but discovering new light within yourself by going into those dark spaces. That's the life walk that you have with that 7 vibration. What we also did was we looked at 5 core numbers, which was the birthday number, which is the day that we're born, the life path number, which is also called a destiny number, which we just went over, the expression number, which is what your total name adds up to, the personality number, which is the total of the consonants in your name, and then the heart's desire, which is also called soul urge number, which is the total of the vowels in your name and what that add up to. Each of those things have a specific meaning, and that makes up the core of what you represent. That is the numeric coding that you are walking around in. And your ability to understand that and relate with other people based on what your code is determines how successful you're going to be in this life. Successful does not necessarily always mean how much money you're going to have, even though that's a component of it. But it also means how well you're going to fare in your relationships, how well you're going to do in your job and in your career, your ability to relate to circumstances, how you deal with stuff that comes at you. All of that is important based on the core foundation that you're coming forth from. And what we did was we put together a little star, and at the top, we put our life path number. Then to the right, we put the day number, the day that we're born. And then we put our soul urge number in the bottom right, personality number at the bottom left, and then the expression number, which is the total of our name, the total of the letters in our name, what they add up to. And that is our star, our core star foundation. And we also talked about how you can put a picture in the middle of that star of yourself, and it can serve as a talisman. You can also write the numbers in Arabic numerals, which gives it another punch. But this is a fun way of really beginning to understand and see what our numeric vibration is and how we move in this world. Any comments, questions about that?
Assalamu alaikum, Cheikh Idris Ba.
Wow, alaikum salam. The class has begun. Sister Zima Lovefire, Sheikha Zima Lovefire is in the house.
Stop for a laugh. Oh man, give thanks. I wanted to ask, when you were talking about the vowels and the consonants and stuff with your name, how important is it? Like, do you need to use your birth name, Or does that also apply to any other names or spiritual names? If you change your name, how would that apply to that with the names?
That is a fantastic question. Yes, the first name that we always start with is our government because that's the name that's on our birth certificate. And those are the tones, the vibrational coded tones that was put on our physical vessel when we first came into being or shortly thereafter. And that's what we were known by. That carries a strong vibration throughout our lives. Even if we change our name, our birth name still has vibration. Now, when we change our name, that is significant also because we have to look at what we're changing our name from. For example, we could be going from a 3 to a number 9, which is a completely different vibration. And we have to understand how those two can play together or how they may be clashing and which one we want to lean into more, which is obviously going to be the name that we're walking with from that point on. So that's why it's important. People change their names many times based on what they're experiencing. We talked about this either last week or the week before, where people like Hollywood figures, people that are in business, people that have an understanding of the science of numbers, if they want to change their fortune or change the way things are going, what they'll do is they'll change their name, or they'll put a middle initial in their name, or they'll just go by their first name, like a Whitney, a Madonna, a Prince. You know, they'll come up with a name that resonates with them, and they'll walk in that vibration, and that changes a lot of the stuff that they were experiencing earlier because they're stepping into a new vibration. Even though the old has some influence, when you change it, you're going into and walking into a new vibration and a new understanding of what your life is going to be all about. So that's why it's important to be aware of what you're changing your name to, what that means, and how that works with or does not work well with the old name. And to add on to that, the other thing that's important with respect to that, some of us have middle names, some of us are juniors or the second or the third, and that doesn't really, we don't really use that in our daily walk, but it still carries energy and it still carries weight. So that's why we use your full government when we start from, since we're talking about core numbers, when we're looking at the core, we have to use the full birth name in order to begin. Now, when you change your name, this process is still the same. You still got to find how many consonants are in that new name, how many vowels are in the new name. And if you want to even go further with it, you can even look at the birth date of that new name, because you look at what day did you decide to actually change that name, which becomes a new birth date, which means a new life path. So all of that is a part of it as well when you decide to change your name. I know you was like, I was not asking all that, but that's the answer, Sheikh Azim.
Oh, no, alhamdulillah. Oh, that was a wonderful answer. You know, in my mind, I'm always thinking about all kinds of stuff because I'm like, well, what if I took my birth name and then my spiritual name and did the numbers and then added them together and came out with one number? That's the kind of stuff I'd be thinking about. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I like
Crazy.
that.
So
I
that you
like
could-
that. That's a whole nother level. Yeah, add the two together. That's a whole nother numeric vibration. Because
Okay.
you are both. You carry both. And
I
as you
mean,
know, walking on the spiritual path, you know, we come through more than one name.
yeah, I'm at like 9 of them, so I got to sense out of all of this numerically.
I mean, so
Alhamdulillah,
yes,
Sheikh. If I may comment, now, thanks, Cheikh Zima, for saying that, because now I don't feel like the only mad scientist in the room, because I was thinking the exact same thing with all of the spiritual names, every name that I've come across in life. But my question, beloved Sheikh, is the junior. You just mentioned the junior. So does the actual JR or the word junior get added, or is that just, does that hold significance, or how does that play in?
I brought that example up previously in class, and Sheikh Sally made fun of me. But the reason why I brought that up is because I'm a junior. And in numerology, what they tell you is you're not supposed to use the junior, you're not supposed to use the senior, you're not supposed to use the second, the third, or the first, or all of that. But there are times when you are supposed to use that. And my example was when I was growing up on the block, and people that know me, the only name that they knew me by is Junior. Same thing in my family. When I go down, when I was in Valdosta, Georgia, or when I'm in the South, everybody knows me as Junior. So that is a vibration that has to be calculated in my numerology, because for most people, that's all they knew me by. So I include it. Each case is different. And as you talk to and get around people, you'll see whether or not you may want to add it. For me, what I do when I do a chart is I add it in there, and I put it in there and include it in the interpretation of the full name. Then I look at the name without it, and I put that in there as an interpretation of the name as well, so that they have both aspects of themselves with it and without it. So that's how I use it. And the name Junior comes up to a number 33, which is a master number. So for me, it's tricky because my name comes out to a number 11 without the junior. When I put the junior on there, it comes out to a number 44. So both of those I use as a part of my interpretation and my vibration with respect to my name number. So yes, junior does carry weight and is important when you're calculating your name.
So that means, Sheikh, I have to redo mine because I'm a junior as well. So thank you for saying that. But you just raised a whole another concept, with you and Sheikh Azima. This is a hip hop example of something you just said. You said some people only know you as Junior. And so then that brought in like nicknames. I know this is a crazy example, but it's a hip hop spiritual example. At ODB, at his funeral, you know, the member of the Wu-Tang Clan, RZA was saying something about this. And he was saying that he believed that he was responsible for his death because he was the one that named him Old Dirty Bastard. His name was Asan Unique at first, was his MC name and his 5% name. And he said, of course, Asan Unique, he was real clean and pure and dressed like with precision. And that was his display of that. And then Old Dirty Bastard brought a whole different element. And he was saying from a spiritual level, he believed by giving him that name that began the process of taking him out of here. So I thought that was heavy when I heard it. And in line with what you're teaching, it makes, adds merit to what he was saying. So alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that brings in a whole nother vibration. And again, the words that we say and the vibration that those words carry, when we put them on someone or when somebody is walking in that name, they're going to manifest the results of what that name speaks to. So that's a very good example of how that plays out. Literally, it's like he went from one person to another person from what you're describing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's the power of the spoken word. That's the power that we have to create. And just like that situation where a person can go from carrying a higher vibration to go into a lower vibration, we can do the same thing going from a vibration where we are now to an even higher vibration based on our understanding of the names that we carry, the words that we're using, and how we are identifying people around us and what's taking place in our environment. This is how we can affect our surroundings and create the world that we exist in based on what we are uttering. That's a great example of that. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh, beloved Sheikh.
Walaikum salam.
I have another question. So, you know, what it brings to mind, listening about, you know, just the junior and things like that. So, you know, what instantly came to my mind was George Foreman and how he named all of his sons a junior. It's like the third, the fourth, the fifth. And he just kind of went you know, crazy with that just a little bit. And so, you know, stop for a lot. But the thing I want to know or your view on is like when you do have a junior, you know, or a third or a fourth, or, you know, just how names tend to just carry on, you know, through generations for some time. Is there, so that original energy signature of the first person that carried that name before anybody was ever a junior and so forth, is that still a part of the other people's core energy as well? Like,
Yes.
Is there some kind of energy connection? Like you still have some of your father's energy because you was named after him? That is like a part of your own energy too. Like it's not necessarily separate, but it's like an addition because you don't have a completely different name. So do you share in that particular energy signature with that parent?
Shaker, you going deep now. I gotta get my boots out with this one. You going deep.
I'm just a curious being.
You know, the first thing that comes to mind with respect to that is when we go to the good book, the Bible deals a lot with generations. Such and such beget such and such, and this one beget that one. And you go through that all the way to Abraham. Then when you get to the end of the Old Testament, you're dealing with genealogy and generations. When the New Testament opens, it opens with generations. And they talk about how there was 14 generations from David to the Messiah, and then 14 generations from like Abraham to David, and on and on and on. But the reason why that's important is because it catalogs a line of descent, much like we have in our Sufi order. When we take Bayat, we're taking Bayat because we're establishing that lineage and that link from the first one all the way down to the last one who took that bayat. We are marrying ourselves and uniting ourselves with that first energy that had that name, that vibration, or that started whatever discipline. So in the Islamic system, you'll hear when they say, what is your name? I am Hamad, Ibn Yusuf, Ibn Ali, Ibn, and they go about 20 something Ibns because they're talking about the line of descent that they come from all the way back to the beginning, because that carries energy and vibration. And by keeping that line or that lineage intact, you keep the chain intact and you keep the energy of the first one all the way through the generations where it's still present in the last one of that generation that's present. So yes, the first George has the same energy moving forward into the last son that's named George because he's carrying that energy. This is also the same concept that the Europeans copied when they have their line of descent in Europe. King George I and the II. You have Louis the 16th. So there was 15 Louis before him. They're holding on to a certain vibration and they're holding on to that name because in that name is transmitted the energy from the original or the first one that started that process. So yes, it does have significance. And when we do that, we're passing something along and passing something down through our gene pool. One way to do it is by naming our children the same name like George Foreman did. The other way is, as we talked about last week, there is a spiritual lineage and a spiritual descent that takes place also, which is why Sheikh Sufi often talks about sit with someone who sat with someone, because there's spiritual information that's transmitted as a result of just being in the environment of a spiritual person. Sheikh Farad brought up the point of, if my mother and my father have a master number and I don't have a master number, do I still come forth in mastery because I came forth in the environment and was produced by two masters? And the answer, of course, is yes, because you were brought up in a mastery field, in a master environment. So you become a part of that lineage just by being present in it. So I hope that answers the question in terms of lineage, in terms of descent, in terms of carrying that energy forward on and on for generations and generations to come, which is another reason why one of the first things that was done to us was they had to change our names so that we could not connect back our lineage. And we had to take on the names of those who we were serving. But it's still in the gene pool. It's still in the DNA. It's still in our coding. It's still a part of our spiritual makeup. So that link can never be broken and never be torn away. And it's still very much intact with each of us.
I mean, thank you so much. It definitely clarified.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for bringing that forward. Any other comments or questions? Somebody got a hand, Brother Akil.
Islam. I did have a comment. You were talking about the power of your lineage, if you will, and you're talking about how even Sheikh Sufi, beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba, talks about the silsila, and how tight our
Yes,
silsila is to get back to the one who sat with the prophet.
right.
And that drew memory to me. I know there's a couple of other Moorish Americans on the line. I draw that reference to when the prophet says, "Backward through the ages, masterminds chase themselves, and thus they know." This is being able to trace yourself back through that ancestral lineage, being able to trace yourself back through that name process, through those numerical codes to collect or to link back into that power of Allah. Inshallah.
I mean, that's what helps us make the connection. And knowing our line of descent, knowing our silsila, knowing who came before us and who sat with who in our lineage, so that we could be clear as to what our connection point is key. And again, that's why they left that example for us in the Bible, talking about the generations that preceded the one who is called the Christ, which is really talking about all of us. But it's talking about how important it is to know our lineage and to know what we're connected to, and to know those that came before us and what they carried forward to us through our lineage and through our bloodline. That's what we have to do, because as time go forward, we're going to be the chain or a chain in that link. And we're also going to be a starting point for generations moving forward after us. So that's where our divine responsibility comes in terms of knowing and understanding who we are, knowing those who came before us, then knowing who we are so that those who come behind us can be clear about what they're carrying and what they're connected to. Very good point. Thank you for that, Brother Akil. Any more comments or questions? If not, then we're going to briefly go into what we were talking about last week, since we're talking about names. Well, that's the abjad. We were talking about the 99 names of Allah, and we were talking about attributes. Attributes means energy that is attributed to, power that is connected with. That's what attributes are. So when we talk about the 99 names, these are the 99 key names, or what we'll call core names. But there are many, 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 many different names that can also be attributed to the all in all, because all good names belong to the all, or belong to Allah. The reason why these 99 names listed here are important is because we walk in these attributes, each of us. And at various times of our lives, and sometimes various times throughout the day, we're carrying an energy of these 99 attributes, or one of these 99 attributes, or several. How that relates to living divine between the 1 and the 9 is because these 99 attributes is the way that we exercise our divinity in our daily walk. Sometimes we have to exercise the power of our sabur, which is the patient. Most of the time, hopefully, we're operating in our shakur, the grateful. Sometimes we have to walk in our razaku, the provider. We got to come up with the goods. But each day, we are walking in the power of one of these attributes. And these attributes have numeric correspondence. This is called the abjad, which, for the lack of a better word, is Arabic numerology, or Arabic science of numbers in that system. They'll never call it that, but essentially that's what it is. They assign the meaning to a letter, and that letter has a numeric corresponding number. So when we have the attributes like Ya Rahman or Ar-Rahman, that comes out to a 298 in the abjad. Why is that important? Because let's say, for example, you was born on the 2nd day of the month, you have a 9 life path, and maybe you have an 8 soul urge or heart desire number. That's the vibration of Rahman that you're walking in, that you have. But you don't know that if you don't know what your core numbers are. Or for example, you say maybe you have a 9 life path. Then that's also the vibration of Al-Malik, which is 90, which becomes the 9. So each of these attributes with their abjad, or the numeric meaning that they have, that can also be utilized with your core numbers that you have and that you walk in. And you can see now how you can take some of these attributes, get the numbers of some of these attributes, and utilize them as part of your core numbers. For example, if you look at Al Aziz, it's a 94, but 94 also becomes a 13, and 13 also becomes a 4. So the core number or the root number is 4 for Al Aziz. Now that doesn't mean when you zikr in the name, you only got to do it 4 times, you do the 94. But the point is, if you're reducing the number to its lowest or most dense numeric vibration, it would be a number 4. And if you have a number 4 prominent in one of your numbers, then that energy is present with you. I'm hoping I'm explaining that so that it makes sense. It's simple, but I may be talking so much that it's not coming across as simple as it is. But all of these attributes, we have the ability to walk in each and every one of them by either representing that number in one of our core numbers or by holding that number as a vibration that we walk in on a daily basis. Sheikh Farad in the house.
Yes, sir, beloved Sheikh Bismillah. So you just raised 10 more questions, but I'll ask one of them. In your using a biblical example, so you're talking about core numbers in the name. So does this mean through, which would bear witness to the title of your class, through our use of these numbers, does that mean a person can change their core numbers? Such as in the biblical example, Prophet Ibrahim's name was Abram at first. But then when Allah was about to make him the father of nations, he said, your name is now Abraham. So it's like he gave him the frequency before the destiny, which literally was giving him a new destiny. Is that something that you're saying we can change our core numbers, perhaps?
Well, yes, you can. Just like when you change your name, that adds another vibration to what your name expression was that you was given at birth. And so it is, if you was to change your name, you would also change your life path number, because the day that you change your name also gives you a new life path number, which changes that core number. And the vowels and the consonants, of course, are different because you have a different name. So all of that changes. And the day that you decided to use your name, that also changes. So all of those, yes, all of those can change. You can change your core numbers by changing your name, because then you also have a new birthday, so to speak. Or you can also utilize the day that you took your bayah. That's a birthday. You can also utilize the name that you were given whenever you were given another name. That's a completely different name expression. So all of that changes and morphs. Some of those names are, of course, Arabic names, attribute names, prophet names. So that carries a new vibration as well. And the process is still the same. You add up the vowels and the consonants and the full expression and full numeric expression of the name, and you get your total value, just like you would for these attributes. All of that can be changed. That's why it is said that we have the power to create. And we are creating on a minute-by-minute basis. We're just not aware of it. The purpose of this class is to help us become more aware of what we're working with, so that we can be in control of what it is that we are creating, and not just have to deal with the consequences of what we're creating because we're creating unaware. The design is for us to be masters and to master. And that's why it's important to get the understanding of this information, so that we can live divine between this 1 and the 9, because that's the totality of our journey and life experience. between the 1 and the 9. We have the power to change all of that. Any other comments? Then we'll go to some supreme mathematics. Now, I'm sure there's nobody in the class that has ever seen these numbers and the science that is attached to them. Could I be wrong? Is anybody aware of this? Or is this a foreign language? This like Greek?
Never seen it, Sheikh. Don't know what you're talking about. Astaghfirullah.
I actually have seen those numbers.
I mean, this is the supreme mathematics from the gods and the earths.
Peace to the God.
Peace to the gods, the 5% nation.
Peace to the God.
Islam. So Sheikh Sufi also did a class on this. It's on YouTube. And I believe it's called Supreme Mathematics. Yeah, it's called Supreme Mathematics. He's got a YouTube on this where he actually breaks down the science of each of these numbers. But I found that this is very, very key with respect to really talking about the energy that is attached to each number. A person who does not have an understanding of numerology and what the numbers represent in that system can definitely still understand this system. And when they understand this system, they can carry it over into the science of numbers and numerology, and it makes a whole lot more sense. This is more of a foundation which you can spring forward into a whole lot of different areas once you have this foundation. Knowing the knowledge and doing the knowledge and knowing that everything begins with knowledge. And the 1, of course, represents Allah, which represents the Aleph. And we can go on and on and on. But each of these numbers and the word that is behind each of these numbers really tells us the wisdom, which is number 2, of what that numeric symbol represents. 2 is a feminine number, of course, and it's interesting that that represents wisdom, which is one of the attributes that is assigned to Aset or Isis from the Egyptian system. That's what she represents, the wisdom. Also, Tahuti represent that as well. But with this being a feminine number, it very much speaks to what she represents. Then we can go on and on. Anybody want to talk about the science of one of these numbers that speak to them? We don't have to go through all of them because we'll be here for a minute. But anybody want to speak to the science of just one of these numbers that resonate with them in this moment? Well, I'll start with the number 9. 9 means born. It takes 9 months to come into physical existence as ordained by the One, the source, the essence from which we spring. And when we're at that point of 9, we're being born. It's interesting because 9 also represents completion. But when you complete one cycle, you're born into the next cycle. And you're supposed to be spiraling upward and not just going around and around. So you're being born into a higher level of the 1 through 9 and a higher expression of that when you actually reach that stage. So that's the one that speaks to me immediately.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Speaks to me. I know. So in more science, we talk about always being on your square. Square
Yes.
denoting a base, denoting 4. So and that being uh, it building the building blocks for that culture and for that cultural freedom, so that pretty much what Prophet Drew Ali brought to us was a culture and a basis or a square from which we can build off of, into realizing our own freedom or whatnot. Um, Also going to my life path number 7. I also happen to be a Sagittarian. So
Mm,
I when I denote that, okay, my life path has truly been me uh situating myself, me um negotiating the struggles between my being and existing on this physical plane of manifest, back to that number 4, but then aspiring to be that God self on this plane of manifest. So shooting my consciousness, my arrow up to that God self, and
mm.
then having the wherewithal and the another reason why I'm so thankful for these classes and this movement started by Sheikh Amadou Bamba, but realized to us through Sheikh Sufi Ba, um, so that we can I can pull that God self down onto this plane of manifest, and so that I can be in my highest self as I move in this plane. Peace and love.
I mean, great description. I like that. I like that.
Beloved Sheikh Bismillah, if I may add on to the cipher,
I mean,
the first thing, when you first said it, the first number that stood out was 5, power refinement. This is always one of my favorite in the supreme mathematics. When I was coming up, the gods used to say you're either a build power or a destroy power in terms of, before you get knowledge of self at 85% is either a build power or destroy power. So it didn't say power development, because we are the personification, we are the supreme being in essence. So we are power. But the question is that power useful to self? Is it useful to the whole, or is it destructive to the whole? So this is where refinement comes in, when we are utilizing the practices, when we're purifying and going to war with the 4 enemies and purifying the heart with the practices like Astaghfirullah Bihi and others. We are refining power that is already present, that is dormant. And I remember specifically, our beloved Sheikh Sufi Ba was saying that when he first embarked on the path of Sheikh Ahmadou Bamba, from being a 5%er, he was talking about some of the ridicule that he came under, because the move was not understood clearly, but he said he was going to refine power. This is what his approach to zikring and all these things was, not that he was necessarily, of course he was going to learn new things, but the approach was to refine the power, because he had found out that he was God through the lessons, through the teachings. But now, how do you refine that power so that you're a more perfect instrument and manifestation of supreme being? So that would be my build, is power refinement.
I mean, you picked a powerful one. I mean, you can't miss with any of these numbers, but you're highlighting some of the most unique ones.
And one more thing to add on to Brother Akil's bill, when he's talking about the square, because once that foundation is set, it can't go forward. That's where power comes from. But unless it's refined, it doesn't move any further in the up the scale of the 1 through 9. So to get to the other ones, equality, God, build, destroy, born, and decipher, which is the all, you got to refine power. This is almost a prerequisite. of such.
I mean.
Salam, beloved Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam.
So I wanted to go with 3 because you know, I'm born on the 21st, so I have that 3 energy.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
My birthday is this Monday coming up, so August 21st, but you know, I know here it says, you know, understanding, which is definitely on point with that. I know when you look into it, you know, as well, you know, more research, they also call it like the number of expression, you know, just being very expressive in things that you do, and also kind of representing, like, you know, things that come in 3s as far as like the Trinity, when they say the, you know, the Mother, the Father, Ghost, and things like that as well, just being a very significant spiritual number in that aspect as well. So yeah, I've kind of seen that energy definitely play out in my life, especially just with the ability to be expressive for sure. So just wanted to say that.
I mean. And you have expressed well and continue to. Keep doing what you're doing.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Sheikh.
It's interesting that you bring up that 3 because when I look at the 1, the 2, and the 3, I think of the top of the Kabbalah. And there is a strong resemblance of the 1, 2, and 3 to the top, the 1, the 2, and the 3 Sephirah in the Kabbalah system. So that's also what I see when you bring up that 3 as well. That's a whole nother topic.
Yes, that's
Some of
powerful.
y'all know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, Sheikh. The first 3 spheres on the tree of life almost resemble exactly the
That's
meaning.
right.
Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The 3, the third sphere is, I think, Shakma or something like that, which means understanding. So, I mean,
Hokmah, yeah. Yep. Right on point. Anyone else? All right. Okay, so now we're going to get to work. We're going to get to work. We're going to see whether or not we have been listening, because like I said, y'all going to be doing this. So we're going to get a piece of paper and we're going to write out, I'm going to give you a date. I'm going to give you a date and I'm going to give you a name to work out. Yeah. Time to go to work. Everybody got something to write with? Or some of y'all don't need nothing to write with. Y'all do it all in your head. I'm talking to the masters. So the date that we're going to work with, let me see if I can pick a good one here. Let's go with October 31st, 1966. And we're going to break that date down. October 31st, 1966. Who's finished already? Somebody tell me what that month equals.
1.
I mean, now somebody tell me what the day equals.
4.
I mean, and how about 1966?
It's 4.
You sure?
4.
You positive?
It's 22.
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Which one is it? Y'all gotta tell me, which one is
Right.
it? Which one is
22.
it?
That's correct. 22.
It is 4, Shay.
4.
Is it both?
Okay, this is one of those, it depends on who you ask. Me, when I do it, that's why when we did this in class, we did it just this way. You take the month, you get that number. You take the day, you get that number. So the month is a 1, the day is a 4. Then you go to the year and you add the year up number by number. So you start with the 1, then you add the 9, which gives you a 10. Then you add the 6, which gives you a 16. Then you add the other 6, which gives you a 22. And since that is a master number, I don't reduce it. So the year is a 22. Now, when you add it up for the destiny number or the life path number, then you add it in and you add it up, because then you got to add the 4 and then you got to add the 1 to it, and that'll make it another number. So if I add the 4 to the 22, that gives me what? Four plus 22?
Oh, that's 26.
26. Then I got to add a 1, that gives me
27.
27, so it's a 9.
it's a life path or destiny number 9.
Mm.
But the reason why that 22 is important is because when you're doing this, you can see that the person was born in a master year.
Mm-hmm.
And that you have to add into the reading as well. And y'all know what they say about 1966. They say that's the year the devil was born. Rosemary Baby and all that stuff. Y'all remember. Some of y'all old enough. I know y'all remember. I was going to give a pumpkin to the person that got the right answer, because that's also Halloween. But that's how we do the numbers. Okay, so now we're going to do a name. We're going to do the name. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. Let's do Isis. Yeah, I'm going to use the Greek name for this because it's a reason. Let's do Isis, Mary, Williams. Y'all like, boy, I know she from the hood. Isis Mary Williams. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna write that name in the middle line, and then above it, you're gonna write the value of the vowels. And then on the line beneath, you're gonna write the value of the consonants. See, y'all didn't think y'all were gonna be doing this. Isis Mary Williams. Well, that's a name right there. I think we came up with one. She gonna be in the Tarika.
Like that's somebody that ran across an Ashwa Kwesi book right at the end of the pregnancy and said, "This is going to be my stamp of consciousness."
Yeah, they were drawn on a couple of different on a couple of different measures on this one. Woo.
Yes, sir. Okay. Does everyone or does anyone have the consonants yet? No, excuse me. Does anyone have the vowels yet? Let's start with the vowels.
Yes, Sheikh.
Okay, what we got for the vowels?
Okay, we have 9, 9, 1, 9, 9, 1.
Whoa.
Now, a question here. I included the Y in Mary as a vowel, though, because it is in this name. So if that is the case, that would be a 7, because it takes the phonetic, the sound as an E.
Yes, that would be correct. You would include, that is a case. There are certain cases, and again, I wasn't trying to get this far into it, but there is times when certain letters that are consonants are also vowels. You know, like when we were in school, they said sometimes Y when they were talking about vowels. This is one of those cases where that sometimes Y is actually a vowel. And it happens sometimes with other letters as well, but yes, you are correct. We're going to count that as a vowel.
Okay. Shukran.
So we have 9, 9, 1, 7, 9, 9, 1. So if you remember the trick that I taught you, you cross out the 9s because it's always going to be the same number anyway. So you don't even have to really add those. If you look at the other numbers, which is the 1, the 7, and the 1, which also adds up to
9.
Adds up to a 9. So that's the heart desire, or the soul essence, is the number 9. What about the consonants? Before we get to that, this is one of the other things that I look at in terms of names, because I also do etymology, which is the meaning of names and the breakdowns of names, where they come from, the phonetics that's in it, the anagrams that's in it, and that type of thing. When you look at the Isis, you have the is, which is the I am energy. You also have the 1 and the 9, which is 19. The I, well, there's 9191, but it's that 19 energy. And the key to that is, that's the number 11. It's a number 11 energy, because again, take out the 9s. It's shown more in the, what is it? What they call the value system, but it's actually the personality number when you add the consonants. The S's come out to a 1, 1, which is and 11 for the name Isis or is. So that's something that you want to look for when you're looking at names also, because that's a vibration that a person is carrying. There's more in that, but we're not going to go there tonight. So who's added up the consonants already? Was that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I added up to 31, which would give me a 4 for the consonant. And that'd be the heart desire number at 4.
You got a 4. Does everybody have a 4?
I got 30, which would be a 3. 1 1 4 9 5 3 3 4 1.
6, 12, 13, 14.
So the best way to do it
6,
is to add them one by one.
1.
So I just wanted to make sure I got a 1 1 4 9 5 3 3 4 1.
4 1. Yes.
Okay.
So if we
5,
added them one by one, we would get 1 and 1 is 2, plus 4 is 6, plus 9 is 15, plus 5 is 20, plus 3 and 3 is 6, which is 26, plus 4 is 30, plus 1 is 31. Which is a number
4.
4. And of course, when we add the 4 and the 9 together, we get 13, which is a number 4 again. So the life path and the personality number is a number 4. Which means if 2 of your core numbers are a number 4, you're carrying a strong 4 vibration. So that's going to be a very, very dominant energy of that person is the number 4. Of course, the other numbers have their value, but that number 4 is going to be very, very strong because 2 of their foundational numbers is the number 4. Does that make sense? Somebody said not on Wednesday, it doesn't.
Islam, it does.
Up to the lot. The point is I want to make sure that everybody has an understanding of how this works. So that when you do this and work it out, you know exactly how to do it. And like I said, I'm going to post this entire, what do they call these things? PowerPoints. I'm going to put this whole PowerPoint in the chat.
Oh, praise Allah.
Now, the last thing I'm going to do, we're going to do another date. We're going to do July 2nd, 1967. And we can just do the day, do the month, do the day, and then reduce the year to a single digit number. Remember I told y'all at the beginning of the class when we started that I'm gonna have something that I discovered on the last day of class. That's what we're gonna do right now. because I want you to see that this stuff is very, very applicable to our daily life, to what's going on around us, if we just take the time to be observant. So what number did we get for the month?
7.
7. What number did we get for the day?
2.
Do shake.
And what number did we get for the year?
5.
7.
Okay. Now, I want you to do the same thing with these 3 houses here. I want you to reduce these numbers to single-digit numbers. There's a method to the madness.
Hold up. For the year 1967, 1967 goes down to 25 and then 7, right?
23, brother.
You had me for a minute there, bro.
1967. You add the 7s and that's 14. I said 14. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Woo. I stand corrected.
I mean, so did everybody reduce these numbers to a single-digit number?
Is it 725?
725. Now, let me tell you why that's interesting. The birthday that I just gave you was my birthday, 7267. The middle house is the house that I live in. The house next door to me well, if I'm facing the house, it's on the left side. That's the number, that's the 7. And then the number on the other side of the house that I live in is a 5. So these 3 houses, the house that I'm in and the house on both sides of me, add up to my exact birthday and life day.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
But it's an observation. Don't ask me how I figured that out. But when I see a number, it just kind of sticks. And I looked at the number on one side, I looked at the number on the other side. And the other thing that you have to do that's important as well, if you're living in a house, look at the number that's directly across the street from you, because that's what you're facing every single day you come out your house. That's the vibration that's actually facing your physical living space. So that's going to affect you as well. But yes, the house that I live in and the house on both sides add up to my birthday and life path.
Wow. Alhamdulillah. What did the Sheikh say? Islam is science and math is Islam. Wow.
But if I didn't know anything about the science of numbers, I wouldn't know anything about that. I would have, it wouldn't make sense to me. And that's why this stuff is important. It literally is all around us in various ways. We just got to put the pieces together. We start putting those pieces together once we understand the numbers that we're working with. So everything starts with us and then spirals outward.
Bismillah, Sheikh. So I was just reading a book recently where it talked about Nikola Tesla and how he lived very, very, very strictly by these mathematical principles.
Mm-hmm.
He would only stay in hotel rooms that added up to the numbers 3, 6, or 9.
Right.
Or
that's right.
Different things like
That's
this.
right.
And he would not budge on these.
Yeah.
So as a scientist, this was obviously something that he understood very, very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
I had
Shalom.
I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry, was someone else speaking?
I could wait, Shaker.
Oh, no, I was just gonna make a comment, Cheikh Idris said, I don't know how I kind of put this stuff together, but it is a certain awareness, because I'm kind of a little bit OCD about numbers sometimes because I'm always seeing certain numbers on license plates and,
Yes.
and it's always say, the universe is always, that's why we say, everything is mathematics because we're always being communicated through some numbers if you're paying attention anyway, the address, license plates, things people say to you, whatever that looks like. But it's interesting you said, about that, just having that awareness because, me being 11 path number, it's interesting because not only that, like my father was 29 when I was born and it's another 11. And then I was born at 9:25 p.m., which is a 7, and my mother was 5 when I was born.
Wow.
And then my mother, has 3 children, and my older sisters are identical twins, and they're exactly 11 years older than me too. So it's just really interesting how, when I really started looking at that and like, wait a minute, all these numbers are like exactly the same. Like my theme
Yes.
is really like 7, and 11 and 5 for the most part, so yeah, it's like when you really start looking at those numbers around yourself and you see, they're very similar a lot of times. It's not like a really wide variation all the time.
I mean, that's a great point. And very good observation as well. Because a lot of people wouldn't be able to put that together. And then a lot of other people wouldn't care. We on a different path. Alhamdulillah.
Excuse me, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I have a personal question here with regards to, this is very ironic that we're looking at houses and talking about residences because I was just in the process of looking at residences. In another country. Yes, and trying to decide on which building that I wanted. So I knew that I wanted a 3 because my personal number is a 3.
Mhm.
So I knew that I wanted, say, an apartment 3. So I was given choices 2. One is a building, the number of the building is a 4, but it's on the 3rd floor, apartment 3. And then another, the number of the building is a 3. It's on the 2nd floor, apartment 3. So the 2nd floor, I just said maybe I should add all of the numbers to see across the board. So the one with the 2nd floor equates to an 8, which is not really in my number pattern because I'm a personal 3 and a life path of 5. Well, in a sense, that adds to an 8.
Yeah, adds to an 8, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just realizing that. So, but at first I was saying, well, an 8 is still a good number though, because it represents, business
And growth, yeah.
growth and all of that. So which one would you probably suggest looking at the 2 for someone like myself?
When you first started speaking, the first one that you mentioned felt like the one.
The building 4.
It was building 4, 3rd floor, 3rd apartment.
Yes.
That one.
Okay. So that all together would be 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a 10. That's number 1.
That's the one, yeah.
Okay. Well, see, that makes sense because that's pretty much how my numbers flow, like a 1, a 3, a 5, the odd numbers. Okay. Excellent. Shukran.
Yeah, that definitely feels like the one, that first one.
Okay. Shukran.
Afran.
Sheikh, I had a comment and a possible gift by Allah's grace that I wanted to offer as a response to the conclusion well, the combination of the conclusion that Sheikh Zimalafai was saying about the different names and the numbers that add up, and the question that Brother Akil and myself had. The first is when you put up the first screenshot before, and it had married name under it. So considering the power of what you're teaching in terms of these numbers, then a woman should really be careful and consider this in choosing to become the mate of somebody, because not only is she's taking the name of this person, but she's essentially changing her numeric value on so many levels. I mean, that's something really to consider. As I was looking at that, I'm thinking, man, you really are. That's a powerful concept. It in light of everything that you taught us. Go ahead, yes, sir.
It's phenomenal that you mentioned that, because in other cultures, like let's say, for example, India. When I went to India, and of course, you don't have to go to India to know this, their culture is based on seeing an astrologer, which he also does numerology as well, before they get married, because he's also a priest. All three in one in that culture. But the reason why you see them is because just what you're speaking to, the name that you have and the name that you're about to take on from the husband is going to change your name. And there are situations where if you take on a name that doesn't go well with your energy and your vibration, it can take you in a downward spiral. Or you can do what a lot of people call marrying up. You can marry into a name that actually elevates your energy and takes you to another level. So when they go to a priest, which handles astrology, numerology, and a number of other things, all of that is looked at so that the two or the couple can be harmonious. And, which is a key, if there is a problem or if there is a clash, there are different remedies that you can do to help offset that. Whether that is wearing a ring on a certain finger, wearing a certain crystal, doing certain pujas and ceremonies and different chants to help offset that adversarial energy that could be a problem with the result of these two people coming together. So that's the reason why you would see somebody who actually deals with that type of thing. And it's no different than what we do in our ancient indigenous systems as well. We have shaman and priests and oracles that we go to for that reason. And this is the work that they do so that we don't find ourselves in those situations. But yes, you have to be careful of the names that you're taking care of, the vibrations that you're adding on to, because that also becomes part of your vibration. And if you're not aware, it could really cause you problems or cause your mate problems. So that's something that you want to be aware of.
The second part, I remember one of the elders was talking about this, and I actually met a guy a few months back that's from the Congo that was expressing something similar. He was saying that if two people came together, first of all, the high priest / shaman and so forth has to approve. Is no way around him, and it's not a form of control. It's really a form of mathematics, because marriage is the basis of family, is the basic unit of civilization, as Elijah taught us. So, the divorces of a nation is going to determine the longevity of that nation. So the priest is there to make sure that longevity is ensured to a nation. So he says that if two would come together and the numbers don't add up or whatever the vibrational difference is, the priest will say, see to it that these two never come together under no circumstance. And they will not be allowed to marry in that country. This is an ancient practice that I've read and heard about from people from those parts of the world. So that's very, very deep. And it reminds me of when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the 3 M's were kept away from us, the science of mating. This sounds like a mathematical science of mating. what you just described.
Yeah, but Sheikh Farad, what about love, Sheikh? What about love?
What about love? Big Tina Turner said, what love got to do? No, I'm just playing. I'm doing love. But I mean, if you consider love as the highest frequency, then in order for love to really take its full form, it has to have mathematical harmony. Or otherwise it'll be love that is obstructed. That's how I would answer that.
Absolutely. It's about redefining the terms that we've been given, the definitions that we've been given.
Yes.
And making them make sense for us.
Absolutely.
As we move forward.
The second part I wanted to offer by Allah's grace is a possible gift. This just came to me as a result of, and Brother Akil is going to immediately smile and rejoice over this. It was earlier, I think it was the year before last, beloved Sheikh did a class, Alchemy of Happiness class.
Alhamdulillah.
See, I told you, I knew he would know. And beloved Akil, you already know where I'm about to go with this. I'm gonna try to say it without giving away too much, but it's really not. It's giving you all a tool, but you got to work to get it because you got to understand abjad for what I'm about to say to even make sense. So he was giving us a practice where you take your name, and in a similar way that Cheikh Idris Ba just taught us, you take the numbers of your name, and that number now becomes a formula to zikr particular attributes, which open up that particular attribute in yourself, because this numeric, this summation of numbers is your signature. This is like your mathematical signature. So in line with what Sheikh Zima Lovefire was saying about the different names, this gives us a practical way to tap into any personality or any name, because let's just say if you needed to be whatever particular name you were before your name was changed, you literally take that number, add up the numbers, and then zikr attributes to activate that particular attribute in that particular personality. And then you could do it inside of all of your names. So it's almost like, you know, Allah being known by many names, but then he has his own name. The Bible said that only he known unto himself. This is the way of the indigenous people, that we don't wait on circumstances to produce the personality. We have names and formulas to help us invoke personality or particular character traits for each situation. So these numbers, as you're teaching us, beloved Sheikh, this is a way that we can literally step into any paradigm of circumstances if we have the number to go to it, and then we could zikr. So like the first name I got when I came into the order, Sheikh named me Wali Ba. So I could take Wali Ba, the abjad from that, whatever attribute that I'm needing to invoke, and then use that number, which would be different from if I wanted to do that for Sheikh Farad Wali. If this makes sense, family, what I'm saying, this is a tremendous jewel if you can get it. What I'm saying, because he gave this to us in a class, in a particular practice, but I think that practice could be applied in this way. Inshallah, mashallah. Thank you, Sheikh.
Ameen. Very, very key.
Salam.
Walaikum salam.
So, of course, beloved Sheikh Farad just got my wheels turning, and I don't know if this is in alignment with what we're talking about completely, but it brought to mind certain things like names that have the same number of letters but spelled differently but still mean the same thing. Like when we say, if we spell Sheikh with a C, you know, and then you can spell it also with a S, like S-H-A-Y-K, you know. So I don't know if this kind of ties in, but I'm just wondering, you know, even with like if you say the name Sharon, you know, for a woman, you know, but then I knew a brother named Sharon, and it was spelled the same way, but I don't know, like, is there something to that, you know, with
such a scientist, Shaker.
Yeah, I mean, because people spell things differently. Even when I think about like Erica Badu, like she changed
Right.
the spelling of her name from how her mother gave it to her. But the story goes that when she wanted to change her name to something else, her mom said, "Well, Erica, I gave you that name, so it means something." So she decided to change the spelling and put the "ka" on it. But it still essentially is, satisfying to the name Erica. So I guess I was just kind of wondering how that would tie into what we're talking about, if at all.
Well, very much so, because the phonetics, the enunciation is still the same. You're just changing the symbolic expression through numbers. That's the only thing that's changing. And it's interesting that you bring that up for several reasons. One is because back in the day, it's actually funny, when we was just getting started with Islam, and we would say things that are actually in another language or from another language, and we would spell it like we would spell it here in the West. And we would take it to one brother. He was the most skilled among us with Arabic. And we take it to the brother, and he look at it, and we say, "Brother, how do you pronounce this?" And the first thing he would say is, "Oh no, I would have to see it in the Arabic to understand how it's pronounced." And we would look at each other like, this brother trying to be deep. He just trying to act like he's so Arabic. But years later, you understand that you literally have to see how the name is in Arabic in order to know how it's pronounced. You got to see what different, whether it's a fatha, kesra, under the different letters or on top of the letters or what have you, to know specifically how it's pronounced. You can write it out different ways in English, like you're talking about. You can spell Sheikh with an S. You can spell Sheikh with a C. You can spell Muhammad with a U, or you could put an O in there, or one M or two M's. You can do all of that. But when you look at it from the Arabic, it has a different, you can know how it's pronounced based on the way that it is in the language that it came from. Then when we get it, you know how we do. We can morph it all kinds of ways, and it still it still sounds the same, but we got to change things around because that's what we do. The other thing to that is talking about how we could utilize these attributes instantly. It brings to mind the Matrix. You remember when Morpheus and Neo was in the Matrix, and they needed to know how to fly the helicopter. It was like, upload a helicopter program.
Yes.
And instantly, he knew how to fly the helicopter because he tapped into the frequency or the code of that program so that that ability would come forth. That's how we're supposed to utilize these names and these attributes and these chants so that we can bring that energy forward, and it can do the work for us that we want done and that we're supposed to have done in our favor. So yes, those are brilliant, brilliant points of how we can utilize all of this.
That's fun.
Any other comments on that? The last thing we want to look at is, I'm not going to go through all of these, but we have different quotes that deal with numbers and the science of numbers from different people who understood the importance of numbers in our society and our system. And basically what they're all speaking to is everything around us has a numeric weight, energy, vibration to it, whether it's a word, whether it's definitions, whether it's chants, whether it's something like a tree. Everything has a number attached to it, whether it's the hairs on our head, whether it's the thoughts that we're thinking, the speed that we're thinking. All of these things carry numeric vibration and energy. And so we have quotes here that deal with that, from Pythagoras to Galileo and Plato. Pythagoras, to pick out one, all things are numbered. The book of knowledge is written in the language of mathematics. So it's talking about how nature is in mathematical code. And we can go all day into that, whether we want to look at a cowrie shell or a seashell, or look into a tree and the number of spirals inside the inside of the tree. We want to look at the leaf of a plant. Everything that we see in our physical existence deals with the science of numbers. And lastly, we have a quote from the Quran, the 10th chapter. Who wants to read this for me or for us?
Bismillah, I'll take your Sheikh.
Ameen.
It is he who made the sun to be a shining glory and the moon to be a light of beauty, and measured out stages for her, that ye might know the number of years and the count of time. Nowise did Allah create this, but in truth and righteousness, thus doeth he explain his signs in detail for those who understand. Holy Quran, Surah 10, verse 5. Surah Yunus.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that. Now, the key here is, since we're dealing with the science of numbers, measure it out. Measuring is a mathematical process. Talking about the number of years, that's dealing with the mathematical process. The count of time, mathematical process. And then it says, doth he explain his signs in detail for those who understand. Those who take up the time to study these things in nature, Allah reveals the science and the meaning of what all of these things are talking about all around us, just by us taking the time to open ourselves up to the process and to become aware of this science that is from Allah. Not shirk, not haram. This is the science from Allah himself, herself, for us in physical form, moving through this dunya to take the light of these numeric symbols, which convey certain energy, and for us to understand the patterns of that energy so that we can utilize that to better ourselves and those around us. This is the information that they kept from us for a reason. This is the time now that we have to go back and grab this information and utilize it so that we can manifest into the masters that we truly are. That's the intention behind this class and the information that came forth in this class, for us to take this wisdom and do something with it. First becoming aware, then utilizing this knowledge to walk in the power and the divinity that was assigned to us at birth. My numeric code is not your numeric code. Your numeric code may not be your mate's numeric code, but each of us are unique, and each of us has something to bring to the puzzle. When we don't bring and show up fully to the party, then everybody else loses out because we didn't bring our part. So that's why it's important to understand ourselves and to grow up into the mastery of ourselves, to dig deep within ourselves, to study ourselves, and to better ourselves, purify ourselves, go through the process of what it really takes to walk forward in the divinity that was designed for us. Hopefully, prayerfully, inshallah, this class will help us to do that in some form or another. Thank you to everybody who took the time to be a part of this class, participate in this class. For those of you who are going to take this information move forward with it, utilize it for yourself, help you to understand some of the things that you're experiencing, et cetera, et cetera. Y'all have made this class absolutely phenomenal. And I give thanks for each and every one of you for being here. Any final comments or questions before we roll out? I know we went a little bit long tonight, but it's the last class, so we can do that.
Once again,
Assalamu
family.
alaikum.
Alaikum.
Walaikum
Look,
salam.
me and Farah, we on a roll tonight.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so I was hearing you talking about numbers, everything being mathematics, and I know I missed a couple of classes, so perhaps I might have missed this bit of information, but, what's coming to mind is, I don't know, I think his name is Dr. Yamoto or something. It was the Asian doctor who...
Iboto, yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
programs the water.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, so I'm assuming, because I don't know, so this is where I would need you to fill me in. So is there numbers that are connected to particular organs? And so with that being said, if that's the case, if someone has a heart issue, can I use, let's say if the heart is, well, we'll say 4 because it's the 4th chakra. So if we say the heart chakra is 4, then can I charge up water with that 4 heart energy and give that to someone, as a potential like medicine to heal the heart? Like, could we do something like that with these numbers in relation to health?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can work on that chakra with the number 4 because it's the 4th chakra. But also when you're dealing with the heart, you're also dealing with Leo. Astrologically, which corresponds to the number 1 in the number system. So that 1 energy is something you could utilize as well with respect to the heart. And of course, the 1 also deals with Allah, which represents the all in all. But yeah, you can utilize all of those things. You can utilize different chants that speaks to oneness, like Al-Ahad, Al-Samad. Those are also very, very good for healing. Or you can utilize the attributes like Al-Hayyu, Al-Qayyum, which are also good for healing. So it's a number of different ways to go with it. Numerically, if you just want to look at the numbers, 1 is good for that, 4 is good for that. Health-related issues, the number 6 is very much related to health. General health would be the number 6. So you can utilize that number with respect to energizing and harmonizing through water. We can go a whole lot of ways with this thing. It's no limits. It's no limits.
Can I add on one thing here, Sheikh?
Yes.
So Sheikh Azima, what you know that in the Arabic we have the divine supreme privilege of all of the letters being numbers. So you can find the word heart in Arabic, take those the letters, which are numbers, add the abjad, and then use whatever practice that Cheikh Idris just said, apply it to that number, the abjad of heart. And that would apply it directly to the heart because that's the number of that particular name, if that makes sense.
I mean,
I'm asking because, like, I know we could definitely do, those things as well. But, sometimes, you may be dealing with someone that may not really be into all of that, and you got to do a more simplified form, but you need them to get the medicine nonetheless, especially like pre-surgery, post-surgery type of stuff for accelerated healing and things like that. Comes to mind as well. But yeah, absolutely, there's a lot of ways that we could tap into those healing frequencies.
Well, like I said, if you got to be quick, the number 6 is a real strong number that's helpful with healing. For sure.
Give thanks, Shukran.
I mean, Nobody else have a question or a comment?
Peace, check, and peace to
morning.
everyone in the chat. Coming on a real primary question because I cannot get my first time in this class. I'm thankful to be here, but I'm still trying to figure out my last name to get this numerical value for this star. And I come up with like 3 different numbers because I have a Y. I'm having trouble with this Y at the moment.
Okay, let me know. Wow, what's your last name?
It's SWINNEY.
Okay, now I don't know if that Y would be a vowel. I think that Y would be a consonant.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have a rule if it's
And I've been online and doing the calculator, and I came up with
yeah,
3
that
different
would be a
numbers.
consonant.
So use it as a consonant.
Yeah.
Okay. That helps me a lot. Thank you.
So did you get what the number was?
I'm adding it with so the Y will be 7. Yeah. So
I hope you come out with a 10 or 1.
let's see. 29, 37. We have 10, that'll be 1, yeah. Right? Is that right?
You on it?
Okay, thank you so much.
I mean. Anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Did
Salam.
you say this is the last class that we're having?
This is the finale. This is the wrap up.
Wow. Wow. This is, I'm so sorry to hear that, but I just want to commend you on an absolutely stupendous job. This is truly outstanding information. And just looking at the whole thing in terms of our educational system, imagine if our young people could tap into just the basics of this at a very early age. You know, how their lives would just be so much more enhanced. So this is the knowledge that we have to keep going. I'm hoping that you're going to publish this and put it out as a book. Are you thinking along those lines?
One of these moons, that's definitely a plan.
Yeah, yeah, because this is, I mean, what you're bringing to the whole science is incredible because like I said, I've studied a little with Lloyd Strayhorn and others, but with the whole Islamic piece, that's mind blowing. It's just, you know.
Yeah, it's a different component.
Yeah.
Different component.
And definitely needed. So I just want to thank you, shukran, and I look forward to more.
Thank you.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you. You all really made this class absolutely valuable. And thankfully now, we know it will continue because now y'all got the same tools. The same tools to do the same work and get it done. We didn't hide anything in this class.
Taking down all the veils. My question is, how can we get that PowerPoint that you had?
Soon as we get off this chat, I'm gonna put it in the group chat.
Well, praise Allah.
The whole thing, the whole shebang. If nobody else has any other questions or comments, this has been a plum pleasing pleasure. Who know where that comes from? Anybody here from Atlanta? Okay,
Yes,
so y'all know
sir.
where that comes from. They got a DJ in Atlanta named Youngblood.
Of course.
Oh, you know Youngblood?
Of course.
Alhamdulillah. I didn't think anybody would be aware of that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I spent many a Saturday mornings with Youngblood. Although he would never know.
Indeed.
But yeah.
Oh, shout out, big shout out with respect to the 50th anniversary of hip hop. We had a real nice celebration. We had a real nice celebration this past weekend. It was awesome.
Did you see any of it?
I was actually I was actually with some other camping. I was camping with the Moors, so I wasn't able to attend physically, but I was planning on it initially. I was trying to get out there.
I tell you, man, we are powerful, powerful people, man. And on that note, I'll just say this. Your boy Dougie brought it. He brought it.
Yeah, I can imagine. They had a couple of DJs that I really wanted to see. They had a very nice lineup. But Islam, let me let you close the class. I don't want to take this into another diatribe.
On a note on that, you're talking about mathematical precision. Since we're on this subject, what the DJ does in that genre of rap is absolutely phenomenal. To be able to precisely hit the scratch or the change or the fade at the right time is absolutely mind-boggling, which is why the first thing they did when they came after rap is they took away the DJ. Now you got producers, now you got board operators, but they had to get rid of the DJ because that was the mathematical rhythm of the entire song. He's the one that kept the beat. He's the one that kept things moving, kept us on time, kept us in rhythm. That was the job of the DJ. You know, when it started, the person that was actually doing the rap, they were just, you know, kind of filling in time for the person that was doing DJ. Over a number of years, it got switched around where the emphasis got put more on the person that was on the mic, less emphasis on the DJ. But that is an example of utilizing the science of mathematics to its highest potential, where the whole world now has really caught fire with respect to what came from that.
Cheikh, can I add a small comment here, Cheikh?
Yes.
So to speak to what you're saying, this just shows, you know, who the original people are, especially us here in the wilderness of North America. Hip hop is the perfect expression of Allah's mathematical wisdom, because think of the quantum mechanics in hip hop, such as like what you just said with the DJ. So let's say, for example, the most popular sample beat break probably in hip hop is The Funky Drummer by James Brown, right? So let's say whoever that was playing the drum, forget the drummer's name. Let's say on a PE track, you got that beat break, but then you might have a sample from 20 years later. So now hip hop has made two musicians that never even met each other play together, because the beat break is a drummer playing the bass, that the sample maybe from somewhere else, then the DJ scratched somebody else's voice on top of that. So it's like bringing time together in a very, very quantum. I mean, it's like the most powerful quantum magic ever hip hop is, if you think about it like that.
I mean, and all of that is what we're supposed to be doing and representing with what we have. We're supposed to be that DJ, that channel, that actually the whole world moves to the rhythm of the wide awake woman and the wide awake man. They move to our rhythm based on our ability to master what we've been given. Masters move the world. So when we're growing up into master level knowledge and information, we're doing that for the purpose of advancing civilization so that we don't go on a downward spiral like many would say is happening now. But no matter what it looks like, we have to remember who we are. That's the key. Remembering who we are and tapping into the power that is us. That helps us to move civilization in the direction that it is intended to go. That's our power. And that's our responsibility. So it's up to us to make sure that we step up to that challenge. I'm gonna end it there. And let's see, if Sister Ayesha is with us, I know she's been quiet, it would be nice if she can give us a closing door. That would really set it off.
Bismillah, Sheikh. Astaghfirullah. The Sheikh had just exited not too
Oh,
long
she
ago.
just
But I wanted
exited stage left.
He did. I wanted to add real quick, Sheikh, because all praises that are just Sheikh Idris, that are just Sheikh Sufi Ba, all praises. You've given us so much and you've asked us for nothing. I had to put your Cash App in the chat and just encourage all of us to give from the heart to this brother, because you gave up the gems, all praises. And if we could just exercise that pillar of zakat, is so powerful. If it's just $1.11, all praises. If we don't give anything, but just to give from the heart, because you gave us so much, all praise. I just felt compelled to put that in the chat today. Astaghfirullah. And going forward as well too, for all the speakers, inshallah, we just reach out and practice that amongst each other. That economy, that group economy, inshallah. May Allah make it successful and be growing this, inshallah. Astaghfirullah.
I appreciate you for saying that, Sheikh. And please, let's make sure that we support this school. That's what's helping us to keep moving forward. And we don't have many places that we can go to and conversate and build, get information, give information. This is a place where that has been made possible. And each of us have stuff to give, wisdom and information, different gifts. So we're thankful for this space to be able to do that. So let's make sure that we continue to support this particular school. And I'm thankful for each and every one of you for showing up, being present, participating, talking during class and sending me different texts and emails during the week as well. Very much appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. Keep shining your light, doing what you're doing. And we're going to continue to be the light that was intended through the light of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Sheikh Ahmadul Bamba, and all the sheikhs that came forth through that lineage, to the sheikhs that are present in our Darrah now, and the example that we have now with Sheikh Sufi Ba. So I give thanks for all of that and for all that has come forth and will come forth from the work that we're going to do moving forward. I mean,
Pass the collection plate, Sheikh. What's that? What's the Cash App? Astaghfirullah.
Cash App. My Cash App is $ Mound Builder.
Alhamdulillah.
And please give us the school Cash App. I believe it's $ 484.
484 Ba. All praises. What goes up must come down. All praises. Alhamdulillah.
I mean.
Sheikh, you should do a class on the mathematical law of tithing, family, because giving in zakat and the mathematical law of tithing is two different things. Being that we're giving to a sheikh, there's a compounding effect of return. So just want to drop that little seed. MashaAllah.
Sheikh Farad, you're trying to bring us back to the Christian ministry, brother.
Actually trying to take us to what the Christian ministry should have been teaching us.
Astaghfirullah, Sheikh. I didn't even want to use that word tithing. It scared some of us away, Sheikh. All praises.
Yeah, we got to bring the science back to it, though.
Hey, I'm down for a good choir, though. You know, we can get a good choir to give us a giving selection. Alhamdulillah.
We need to pass the plate around a few more times.
I got tambourine bells on my Zikr Sheikh. So.
Man, y'all got me. I've been off.
I mean, we better end it there. Who's gonna give us a closing door?
If you like, Sheikh, I could take us out with a Astaghfirullah bihi.
Alhamdulillah, no better way, no better way.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallam wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Malana Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi. Takabal mini liwachi kal karimi. Ali taibani leka bi astaghfirullah bihi. Astaghfirullah lazima wa atu. Alayhi means wa hadin wa min guyub. Astaghfirullah lazima wa atu. Alayhi means wa hadin wa min guyub. Saltuhu bahaki wa jalahi makfirata min jumlatil manahi. Tutulahu min jumlatil sagairi. Ahal kabairi wa min damairi. Gafiru likfir kulli ma takadama wa ma takara wa ma bainahuma. Wa imni alim mawazitni ma wa hamalan wa badan wa fama. Wa rabbi alikshifu halaman nafiha. Wa talayati min shaka imaniha. Ikshif liya asa'ara wa gawamida. Ekeraman kashafa suran gamida. Lijma jamiha ma tafarakalada. Kauti manao keri wa safu kalada likula da tafakadola zameya. Rabbi bikum watasi man kalamiya. Abliya ya akramu fitilawa. Keran kasiran maka wa halawa. Barikli Allahumma fiyati. Wachafu adi watanawayati. Abliya kani bishra kuliman yatu. Waliza wa ahidra bin mahalbuyub. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi. Rabbil alamin ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Salat al-Adina an'amta alayhim ghayri maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Barkay Sheikh Sufi Ba. 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 Allahu Akbar.
Ameen. Allahu Akbar.
Peace and love, family.
I mean,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Barkay, Sheikh
Thank you,
Sufi
Cheikh
Ba.
Idris Ba. Thank you. Thank you.
Darrah.
They're the Jep, Ameen.
Sheikh Idris is mathematics.
Allah's mathematics, and we're trying to emulate that example.
I mean,
That's just Sheikh science. So praise.
On a good day, I could do a fairly good reflection.
Alhamdulillah.
The song Mathematics by Mos Def should be Sheikh Idris' theme music.
Good job.